Well, there's a Canadian election. Made some phone calls, asked a few questions. Apparently, our Canadian election is all about hockey. Um, I haven't found any party that actually has a goal. They have platforms, which a platform is what do the people need to hear? Let me tell them whatever it is they need to hear, but not actually have a goal in how to accomplish anything. There's zero structure in any plan. There's zero chance of accomplishing any promises, just like in every other election. Um, One of the problems, because the one that's tied to me, is child support issues. And apparently, we haven't made enough noise about that little problem. You have a lot of fathers that are living in poverty because if you've got a wife that's got money and take you to court, she can bleed you dry. Or if the father doesn't give a shit about his kids then and makes a lot of money, then he doesn't even have to pay income tax, let alone child support. The one problem that I have is the reality that I've been paying child support for the very children that live in my house. And because of the abuse, um, physically and emotionally, I'm on a disability now. So while we didn't want the father of the children to be accountable for his financial responsibilities towards his kids, every other tax-paying Canadian is now responsible for it. We've got these terms end poverty. And yet if you ask them what's the cause of poverty, not one of them will know. They think create more jobs. So that seems to be the focus is we're going to create jobs. We're going to give the corporate world tax benefits. The NDP is going to give tax cuts. If you hire people for, I think it's a 6 month period, but you get more, you get a bonus if you keep them on for a year. So basically, what they're offering the corporate structure is a year's free labor that'll get everybody working for exactly 1 year. But what does the corporate world do? Well, if you don't want to pay a secretary to answer a phone, you get an answering machine. And aren't you a little pissed off when you've got a problem with a company and you want to give them a call? Dial this, dial that, push this, push that, and it takes you an hour before you end up finding a real person to actually talk to. That's what the corporate structure is all about. Automation. It's cheaper to get technology to do the work than it is to hire an employee to do any work. Years ago, I did a national campaign. It was called Impeach Mulroney when he was introducing this free trade. Can see all along that as soon as you form this kind of structure, if you tax the corporate structure, they'll leave and they'll go into the third world countries and get them working because they've been starving for a long time. They've been prepping the third world countries for a long time just so that you'll be desperate enough to work for next to nothing. So that's what is threatened with the corporate structure. If you think they're going to start you any new jobs, no. If they don't get what they want, they will leave the country thanks to free trade. We are not producing anything in Canada. I mean, nobody's producing anything. The only thing that's being produced are in, third world countries where slave labor is the acceptable thing. What causes an impoverished country? Canada doesn't go to war. They're what forcing peace, which is war. But basically, what Canada does is go on the coattails of all wars and buy out the natural resources in other countries. So, and a lot of these companies aren't even set up in Canada. They're set up in other countries, so they don't even have to pay Canadian income tax. The only suckers that are paying income tax is the working poor. The working wealthy don't pay income tax. and people on the streets ain't paying any income tax. And we have an awful lot of cost-effective rules, which means it's not cost-effective to do the right thing, which means that we aren't collecting enough income tax to pay for the amount of problems that are hitting Canadians. Then we've got this nuclear bomb that just went off. I don't see any party talking about what's going on in Japan or the nuclear power that's here in Canada. We've got a whole pile of nuclear waste floating all over Canada. The cancer rate is going to increase within 5 years. Why? Because of Japan and because Canada has zero interest in even talking about it. It's healthy. Do some research with some people that have been against nuclear power. They are speaking out now and they are telling you that this is in the air and it's in the plants. It's going to be in your food, in the air, it's in the ground. It's not going to be safe for thousands of years unless we know how to do things right, which we do. We could end poverty if we really wanted to, but there's no interest to. I've posted or asked the question what causes poverty, and they didn't really know. It was lack of jobs, they thought. So I put the metaphor that, okay, if you had 10 people, everybody has $1, and one person was manipulative and and controlling and manipulated everybody to give them their dollar to him. One guy has all $10 and 9 people have nothing. So what was the cause of the poverty? If one guy has $10 and everybody else is poor and has no money, what caused the poverty? As we're seeing, the upper 1% earning all of the money, everybody else is going to be poor and going to be homeless. So don't you think maybe it's some of these psychopathic CEOs that happen to be running in elections are the cause of poverty? Then I had the discussion of poverty, and they were saying, oh, we've had experts go in and investigate the causes of poverty. And it's like, yeah, right. You're going to get somebody that is fairly wealthy. They're very well educated, wealthy people that are going to go in and analyze a problem. Now, if they were the cause of the problem, do you think they're actually going to see themselves? I don't think so. They're always going to be looking for somebody else to blame for the problem and not see that their own psychopathic behavior is what created the poverty. If you go, I don't see anybody actually talking to anybody living in poverty and find out what the causes that got them there. You'll find that nobody's living in poverty unless they are the victim of some form of crime. And as this global collapse, a lot of people are homeless, no jobs. Guess what happened? A lot of laws were broken, but even if you don't know it, I'd question the Liberal Party. That guy is a Russian elite banker. So what do you think that guy's interest in is? Not going to be you. It's going to be his own personal interest. NDP, in my riding, there is one girl that doesn't talk like a politician. She seems to know what the problems are. I doubt very much if she'll get elected because she's making too much sense and people don't hire what makes sense. She's definitely saying that change needs to start from the bottom and work its way up to the top. That's the only thing that makes any sense, because you can't change those at the top. It's like telling an insane person to cure himself. He doesn't even know he's sick. Government doesn't even recognize how ill they are. So do you really think that they're going to know how to cure themselves? No. You want to get into politics? First of all, the only people that really get into politics are people that want to earn more money. It's a corporate business. If you Want to increase your business, get involved in politics, and then you can make policies and do whatever the hell you want to earn a living. You've made laws to make whatever it is you're going to do legal. So it's a mess. And I don't see any party that has any answers to any of the serious problems that we're dealing with. We have free energy, but I don't see any of them interested in funding free energy. We have systems that can clean up all this toxic waste, but I don't see anybody even interested in having that conversation, let alone funding it. We have ways of building things to make things last, but we don't know how to structure an economic system. Because what would happen is if we did things right, you'd earn more and work less. And they don't want that. They only want the top 1% earning all of the money, and everybody else, just, well, we're going to kill you because you're eating too much food, and there's not enough jobs for you to go around because we're all automated. We don't need you anymore. So healthcare is not a concern. What any issues dealing with healthcare, they're going to hire more doctors and nurses. What does a doctor and a nurse go to school to learn? How to give drugs. They have zero education in causes. They just are totally educated in diagnosing, put a label on a behavior or a symptom, and then give it a pill. There's no, oh, you're hitting your head with that hammer and it's giving you a headache. Here, take a pill. Instead of stop hitting your head with that hammer and get rid of your headache the natural way. Doctors are not smart enough to know that. So hiring more doctors and more nurses, yes. As we die, the pharmaceutical world needs to make money as they kill you, and how they do it is through doctors. So yeah, well, as the cancer rate increases because of all of the toxic waste and all of the stress that's going on, a lot of people are going to be dying. A lot of people need to be making some money off of your death. So we do need to hire more doctors and more nurses in order so we can sell you all the drugs so that you'll be a zombie and just die the natural way, the drug way. Layden has cancer. Marijuana has been known to cure cancer, and I hear he's using alternative medicine. I'd really like to see his blood test because I ain't the only one that knows that marijuana is a cure to cancer. And if he's using alternative medicine, pretty sure Jack Layden is smoking drugs. But will he legalize it? Not that I'm for, let me get this straight. Marijuana is a medication. It is like a band-aid at the same time. If you are, inhaling toxic chemicals that are creating your cancer, you can smoke all the pot and get rid of your cancer, but it's going to come back again if you keep inhaling that toxic waste. So I'm not for medicine that it actually cures. I'm more for medicine that recognizes causes and cures causes. Then to cure what, to transform all of our illnesses back into good health, we're probably going to need some naturopathic medicines to cure us, but at the same time, it ain't any good unless we get rid of all of the causes that are creating this living friggin' hell. So, I don't know. I think it might be time to turn the hockey game off and pay attention to this election. I don't see anybody worth voting for, but I do think it may be a little bit of time to start making a little bit of loud voices. Um, if you have had child support issues, either paying too much or not collecting anything, guess what? You haven't made enough noise. because not one politician is willing to talk about it because they said it's not an issue. Interesting events. Peace out.